I'd like to welcome everybody to the January. I'm about to get ahead of myself. January chamber meeting. We have I think a very good discussion that we're going to have today about the media and maybe how your business can use the media. Samantha Koozsey is going to lead that, and having said that, I'm going to step aside and let her take over. So again, thanks for coming.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I am going to talk about the media, the news business, and hopefully help you understand the importance, how important we are, and that you can actually use the media or reporters to your benefit for your businesses. So at any point, if you have questions, let me know. At the end, I will open it up, and hopefully you do have questions, because I almost enjoy that more, just the more communication. But so just in case you have no idea who I am, I anchor the news, the morning show for WCYB, Channel 5 in Bristol. Today, I've been there a year. This is my year anniversary. Imagine. Yep. I'm a lot sleepier than I was 2 years ago. So, but my shift has changed a little bit. I used to, I was just saying, get up at 2, and we'd go on the air at 4:30. Now I get up at 4, and I personally go on the air a little before 6, so that I can do more reporting. That is my favorite part, is getting out there and talking to people and hopefully telling interesting stories. So, okay, and this is modern technology, so granted I am on television, but this is me. So we're going to get started by saying a couple of quotes that I just thought were fun. There are only 2 forces that can carry light to all the corners of the globe: the sun in the heavens and the Associated Press down here. The Associated Press is obviously where we get all of our news and really around the globe. And then John F. Kennedy said, "There's a terrific disadvantage in not having the abrasive quality of the press applied to you daily. Even though we never like it, even though we wish they didn't write it, and even though we disapprove, there isn't any doubt that we could not do the job at all in a free society without a very, very active press." So, we get a bad rap, but to be honest, I think, especially on the local level, we, a lot of us are from the area in which we live and work, and our purpose is not to make people look bad. It's really to just inform people and hopefully do good. Now, with that said, some of you may actually think that we are cartoon characters or the Muppets, but no, in fact, we do provide some benefit to the world. The current communications era has completely changed. Literally, the internet, as you know, has exploded. Mainstream journalism is on the ropes. It's not like it was, 30 years ago, or when I graduated college, when, basically you had one television, one newspaper. Well, now, news is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Literally, with a click of a button, you can get everything you need to know and a whole lot of stuff you could care less about, So, it really has changed. Stories are made from quotes, so be careful. Whatever you say, whatever comes out of your mouth could in theory be a story. Journalists can still be traditionally negative, but I'm pretty idealistic in believing that, we can also be very positive when we can do good, and we do on a consistent basis. Even though now with modern technology there are all different kinds of platforms to get your message out, print, newspaper, broadcast, television and radio, or social media, the message can still be the same. You just tweak it a little bit depending on where it's going out. Things to know about the media. Okay, so obviously at Chamber of Commerce, I'm guessing many of you are business owners or work with the business community. It's important to know that you may have a business and you think, this would make for a good story. Well, you need to keep in mind that news is defined in certain ways. It's defined, is it unusual? Does it have some sort of conflict, maybe some resolution? The immediacy of things, breaking news, that constitutes news. The impact, hundreds of jobs coming to the area, that's big news. A new hotel, that's big news. And the proximity, how close it is. I mean, frankly, in this area, it does take a while to get to places. And so we have to account for that when we go out on stories. Also, some things you want to know about the media. You want to create relationships with reporters. I know that's awfully scary, but I swear to goodness, it makes more sense to create a relationship with a reporter or with a station, TV station, radio station, before you actually meet them. Because then when you meet them, they don't know who you are. Ideally, you've created a relationship, you've put a face with a name, and they know you, so if you call them and say, we've had this, I don't know, let's say it's an explosion, or we've had this event happen, they'll go, oh, I did meet you. There's a connection, and maybe they give you a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. I would certainly answer it. Also important to know, reporters are impatient. I am 100% impatient. I don't know if it's because I'm an only kid and I never learned to share, but or that I decided to be in television. It's probably a combination of both. But I am definitely impatient, and the media works on deadlines. And I cannot stress to you enough. So like a reporter will often call somebody and say, we're doing a story, any chance we can come by and talk to you? And oftentimes we'll get the, oh, today's not good, how about tomorrow? That's a bad answer. Because, the chances are we're going to find some other business to profile. And, when somebody profiles you, it's good for your business. It's just kind of a walking billboard, right? So, obviously, there's a negative to it, too, depending on what the story is about. But it's important, I think, to acknowledge that, okay, we have deadlines. So, oftentimes, if we call somebody, I would recommend that you say, you know what, let me see who I can get to talk to, and I will call you back. First thing to remember is call us back pretty quickly. Even if you can't find anybody, say, you know what, I'm still working on it. Nobody's called me back. Let me get back with you. That way, at least we know you're remotely on our side, or we're moving on. And you really have minutes to get back to us. Part of my new job description is working with the younger reporters. And so I was out with one trying to give her some tips, and we were kind of hitting a roadblock, which doesn't stop me. I just find it as a challenge. And she was like, nobody's calling me back. I'm like, will you call her back? And she said, well, I don't want to be rude or anything. You're not rude. Just go, I'm so sorry to be a pest, but I'm on a deadline. Just be honest. If you're honest, they're going to get it. But truly, we do have deadlines. So the newscast starts at 5, not 5:01. So we have to be on time. If you have an event in your business, you don't really want to schedule an event at 4:30. We're not coming, frankly. Unless it's something really great that we can see and we can do a live shot from there, we're not coming. So if you wanted to get on the noon show, for example, you want to schedule an event, whether it's a PR event or press conference or something, at 9:30. That way it gives us time to come back and put the story together and it airs on you. If you want to be on the evening news, you want to schedule it sometime in the morning up until about 2:30. 3 o'clock pushing it, but that way we have time to, because you want it to be done well and right. So the more time you give us, the better it is for you and your story. Okay, so I told you about the broadcast, print times, things like that. The reason why I have all this knowledge on the other side of the camera is because prior to getting back into television, I worked for, basically I worked for Alpha Natural Resources. So I am familiar with the coal industry. I worked for them for about 6 years doing consulting work, teaching people how to speak to the media, what to say, and golly knows what not to say. So I encourage people all the time to, look, say what you mean what you say. Try not to mean what you say it, but it's better to say something than you can say nothing and something at the same time. There's a fine line there too. But say something, because if you say nothing, then reporters think you're hiding something. And since I have the experience on the other side of the camera, I'm pretty sure you're hiding something. Okay, how do we communicate with the media? It's different. Like I said, it's different than it was 30 years ago. But I think, the message is the same. The way you're going to deliver it's a little different. So whether it's print in the newspaper, you would have a little bit more opportunity, longer interview. Chances are the newspaper reporters are a little bit more focused. They have beats specific to like technology or business. They're a little bit more specialized than broadcast reporters. Not always, but a good bit of the time. Questions are often repeated in different ways to get a response. Now that's not just with print. I do it too. When I'm asking questions, there's a certain idea in my head what I think would be a good soundbite, and also people get more relaxed the more you ask them questions. So just so you know. And then with the newspaper, you do have a little bit more of an opportunity to correct a misstatement. Should you say something, like that didn't come out right, let me do that again. I would recommend, should you ever be interviewed on television or for radio for that matter or anything, if you feel like something didn't come across right, go ahead and say, you know what, that didn't come out right. Can I try again? No, but again, we'd much rather you say it in one succinct soundbite than bumbling all over the place, regardless of what media you're talking to. But it's better to do that. When you're talking to broadcast, radio, you're in a microphone, nobody can see you, so you're going to have to speak visually. Be descriptive. That's really important. And be passionate. Never, ever, ever, ever read from your notes. Because it just sounds so static and not real, no personality. You can have your notes in front of you, but you don't want to be reading, okay, it's not fun. Television, short, simple answers. And remember, you guys are the experts in your field. We are not. So if we used to say, back in the day, I don't know what grade level it would be now, but we used to say, dumb it down to about the 5th grade level for the rest of it, the rest of the world. Now I'm not sure what level it would be at, but because you're the expert, sometimes you speak in jargon and initials and such. We have no idea what that means. So, and if we don't know what that means, either we're gonna look it up online and try to figure it out, or God forbid we actually make it up. So it's better when a media person comes to you, here's some information about my company. This is what I do. This is what I mean. And if you happen to use an acronym or something, say what I mean by that is, and you explain it. Okay, social media, it is immediate. It has completely rocked our world. You can post to a website, Facebook, Twitter, in a split second. I have on my phone a thing called Social News Desk, and I can tweet and put something on Facebook at the same time. Who knew? This could be done. I kid you not. When I was, this is early 90s, I had a news director, a boss, who said to me, one day we are going to be watching the news on the computer. Not going to happen. I knew it wasn't going to happen. I didn't have any idea what he was talking about. That was like when HD was coming out, and now I wish HD didn't come out because, things are a little bit more up front. Becky told me that you do kind of wanted me to talk about social media, and that's kind of what I'm going to focus on specifically, but, I can talk about whatever you want me to talk about. But literally, social media, Facebook, Twitter specifically, has really changed the way we do our job. So when we go out in the story in the morning, we are shooting it, writing it, editing it, posting on it. So as soon as we get to our story, our boss wants us to take a picture of where we are, to show the action, and basically it encourages engagement for later on. And we say, Samantha Koozsey is going to have the full report coming up at 6 o'clock, a little bit of a tease, but you put a little bit more information in. This is where we are. It shows that we're part of the community, but this is what's happening. Because how many people have a phone? How many people have a smartphone? Pretty much everybody, right? So people are getting their news from their smartphone. Y'all work hard, you work late, you DVR the news. It's, you may not get to see it, but you can get it on your phone at any time. So by putting news out there on Facebook, Twitter, we're getting information out that we want to get out. I'm sorry. Good thing I didn't knock you out with my hands.
You were good. I ducked.
You ducked? Okay. I just pulled this stat. I thought it was amazing. So on Facebook, at the third quarter of 2014, 1.35 billion monthly active users. That's a lot of people on Facebook. Twitter tweets, 6,000 tweets a second, 350,000 tweets a minute, 500 million tweets a day. Holy moly. Isn't that amazing? You can't tell me you figure out a way to use social media for your business. It's the wave of the future. It's certainly younger people. That's all they do. I'm not in the younger category anymore. Stories start on Facebook and Twitter. Every single day I come in and I check our Facebook page because I try to post things to it that have happened overnight. And every day I get some sort of Facebook information or suggestion. Hey, there's a fire on 11W. There's, I heard an explosion somewhere. I think there was an earthquake in Greene County. We're like, really? So we called them, yes, in fact, there was an earthquake in Greene County. yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, Preston and I, my co-anchor, we come in, we look at our Facebook, and there's a post on there that says, do you have any update on the Channel 5 car that was involved in a crash? So we look out the window, and we literally count the cars. And we're like, so these two people take cars home. Come to find out, our assignment editor had hit a cow on the way home, and it was, it was a bad wreck, but fortunately he's okay. Point is, we didn't even know it involved a control car. I don't know what that says about us, but it's kind of funny, needless to say. So we're always getting information and stories about Facebook. Now, in Russell County, I realized in the last week, the tragic situation with the teacher. And I say this with respect because I didn't know him, but a friend, family, father. I'm a person, and it's sad. But as a reporter, we got information about that on our Facebook page immediately. Now, turns out a good bit of that information that we got on Facebook was right. A good bit of it was wrong. Now, if you take away nothing from this part is, if you don't set the record straight immediately, it's going to run away from you. It's going to be, you will not be able to get in front of it. The idea is to always be in front of it. As with AAP and with Natural Resources, we were always thinking of the worst, planning for the worst, Lord, hoping for the best. But we prepared for anything that could possibly happen. We tried to anticipate what people would think, the questions they would ask. And if not that Russell County Schools asked me any questions or health department or anybody asked me, but as somebody who has done it on the other side, it's okay to say, I don't know this. What I can tell you is this. Set the record straight, start the engagement, start the dialogue, and then continue to monitor the feedback from those posts that you put on there. They had sent out a note. We, of course, got a copy. People share anything with the media. We got a copy of the letter that was sent home to the parents. And it did raise a lot of questions. Normal people have questions about that stuff. And I think it would have been better if they thought about the absolute worst questions that people would ask. We as a news station really struggled with that because we weren't getting any official information. Some stations went with the rumor, what was reported, the person, and you have to think, does that family know? There's so many things that go into deciding whether or not you take what you find on social media and use it. Fires oftentimes will say this picture came to us from a viewer. Sometimes a little scary because, is that a new picture? Was it from yesterday? Anymore it's really a different world. I'm just kind of talking with you about the discussions that we have on a daily basis many times during the day. But once you are actually using social media, you need to continue. So you can't just post and go, I'm done. No, you have to post, and then the idea with social media is that you direct them to your website, where then you have a whole bunch of information. This is what we know, this is who we are, this is what we can do, this is what we will do. These are the things, so that can consistently be updated. That's a whole other team working on that stuff. But the social media, the engagement, and then you can see based on posts from people whether you're answering their questions. Like or are there additional concerns? And if you see 50,000 posts with somebody saying, "What is meningitis?" you might want to say, "Meningitis is this. A communicable disease is this." So, I am not passing judgment. I'm merely stating what I would have done as a consultant to should anybody have asked me. And I always have an opinion about something, in case you haven't. The other thing is, I find it interesting that people will, they have a Facebook page. Like, for example, I have my own page, and then I have a station page, and then we have the WCYB page. You know, it's important to retweet your colleagues. You know, like your colleagues' Facebook pages and different things that they put on there, because that encourages people to like you. Then they'll go, who's that person? And then you kind of get additional followers. The more people that are out there following you. And again, they're following you on a good day. In the event that something happens down the road, you've got followers. And always drive people to your website, you know, or event or whatever through social media. Scheduling posts. This is interesting. So sometimes, you ever notice, like on your feed on Facebook or whatever, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes they call it that, it's like a spammy, you know, they feel like if you are posting too frequently, it's just spam, and then they eventually all hide you because they think you're just boring. So you want to basically post about every 15 minutes. So literally, that's what we're doing at the station. So we're not only just writing stories and trying to get other ideas and investigating certain things, but we're also trying to consistently post things that we think are interesting to people. You want to establish a rhythm. You also want to try to get people engaged by being a little bit more personal with your posts and with your tweets, so that they don't just think it's something you copied and pasted. They want to have some connection with you or your business. Facebook, you know, you guys probably know most of the stuff. I'm just reiterating here. Facebook likes paragraphs. So the idea is if you only put a line like you would for Twitter, because Twitter has certain characters, you only put a little line in your Facebook page, they'll think you're kind of just teasing them, and that's not enough, and then they kind of get turned off by it. So you want to put a paragraph. You know, this is what's happening. I'm here speaking to the Russell County Chamber of Commerce. You know, had a good time, learned about media. That's kind of something I would put in my Facebook page. Twitter, for tweets, short and sweet. And you always want to put a link. Links are important. This is just an example of putting a link, and then it puts up a picture. And Bitly, does everybody know what Bitly is? It's like a shortened version of a link. So WCYB webpage has a link at the top of your website. I copy and paste it, and I put it in this Bitly, another website, and it shortens it. And that's, you know, you should do that with every time. Every time if you're doing something about your business, put your website on there, always. This is an interesting concept. So, and horrible picture, but get my drift here. When we posted this on Facebook, we posted a picture. And the other one is a post that does not have a picture. This one reached 14 million people. That's amazing. 86,000 likes, 26,000 comments, 81,000 shares. That's probably, I was asking our IT person before we came here, he said that's the most he's ever seen. In fact, when I asked him, I said, what's the most you've ever seen? He said about 6 million. And then he sent me this, he went, I was wrong, 14 million. That's amazing. But the idea is pictures, as always, say so much, and they draw people in. It's just more appealing anytime. Everything you do, if you have a picture, put it up there. And it needs to be something, it can't just be your logo, that's no fun. You want to have people working, or, you know, on a particular machinery, and you can put a little, you know, tidbit about what they're doing, you know. It's an opportunity, is what I see it as. With tweets, you want to abbreviate as little as possible. So does anybody know what WX means? If I was tweeting it in my news world? No?
Weather?
What?
Weather?
Oh, yes. Weather. You got a winner. I have no prize, but you are there.
That's all right.
Yes, it's weather, and I thought everybody knew that. So I was tweeting something. Who knows? And I said something about the weather, and I said, WX. Got so many little notes. What's WX? And then the news director, everybody sent a note out saying, nobody knows what that is. So, don't abbreviate. You know, I know that with tweets you have a limited number of characters, but better to just go ahead and spell it out. Short and sweet. Try to hashtag. That's a whole new kind of concept that I'm still kind of learning, but we try, you know, people will look up Labor Day and then see what other people have said and kind of click on those things. So if it's something appealing, and it can be something you make up, words you make up in that hashtag, which is kind of interesting. Again, also always include some sort of visual. It's more appealing. And as I mentioned before, retweet your coworkers and follow your colleagues. I mentioned this already, but after you post, you want to monitor that. When you are interacting at any point, it just shows that you are caring about someone and something. So if you don't do anything for quite a while, people get bored and they'll tune you out. So the other thing I thought, regarding, I keep saying, the website. If you have a website, it would be really important to have a little media section. So a media section would include basic facts about you. Who you are, when you started, how many employees you have, maybe some revenue information, maybe even some basic glossary definitions, words, things that would make sense to people if, as reporters were looking up, stuff. And then even include links to other sites that you recommend that we could use as additional, or people, regular, not even reporters, just regular people could use to find out additional information. So, for example, back to Russell County, they could put on their website links to the CDC, links to the Virginia Health Department. Again, and then they would have on their website information about diseases or whatever, so it also provides some validity to what you stand for and who you are. The other thing is oftentimes there are people in a company that just like to talk and want to be the face of the company. It's not always the CEO, CFO. It has to be. You have to be selective when you're trying to figure out who's going to be the person speaking for you, your agency, your organization, or whatever, because you want the right person out there in front. Sometimes there are people that you go, you shouldn't talk. It's true, and it's sometimes harsh, but better to be harsh behind the scenes than go on television or be heard on the radio or make a statement in the paper that you go, that just didn't come across. That wasn't the best face or best soundbite for our company. So those are just a couple of things that I think are important. So I've been rambling for a little bit. Do you have questions?
Samantha, is it critical that businesses, I feel like we're fairly active on Facebook and we don't have a Twitter account. Do you need to do both?
Yeah, I guess it depends on who you speak to, but yeah, we have determined, and more people are using, it's interesting, oftentimes people are using that Twitter, that they're tweeting all the time. And it really can be the same thing you're putting on your Facebook, you just shorten it, make it one line, and link them back to your website. It doesn't take much to set it up, and that's how people are following the tweets. So yeah, and this is the point, are certain avenues better for your business than others? Possibly, but does it hurt to do them all? Absolutely not. You may end up getting new customers, new clients, things like that.
How do you encourage, I have a Twitter account, how do you encourage people to, what do you need to do to get people to follow you?
Well, I think you also have to follow other people.
Right.
That crazy, but the more people you follow, the more people they'll see you, and then they'll, it just kind of snowballs. But I think start within the office, start then with your friends. It's true, we learned sometimes I'll see people say, share this. They'll specifically say the words. Well, apparently we've learned that those are somehow within Facebook, those are not shared. It's almost like Facebook holds those back. So you don't want to use those words, share, like my friend. You don't want to do any of that. If you can say that same thing without saying that, but I don't know why that is, but it gets kind of hooked up in the world.
People don't want to be told it.
Well, that
That
could be part of it as well, yeah.
What was the name of the app you said that would essentially?
It's called Social News Desk is what we have, and I don't know, I assume other companies can use it, but it is great because if you're out somewhere and you want to get the information out quickly, that is the best way to do it. You can do Facebook or Twitter, Facebook and Twitter, you can, so Google Plus, I mean, they have the whole gamut, and it's been great. And then there's certain people that you put as controllers that can make edits to things, because in anything, sometimes you'll have something misspelled, we want to go back in and fix that. There are certain people that have that ability. Any other questions? Yeah.
It's always difficult. I mean, I consider Facebook, Twitter, even your website to be advertising in some fashion, shape, or form.
Sure.
It's always difficult to evaluate the cost benefit in advertising as a general rule. I mean, we all want more people to run for the door, but, have there been any national studies or anything else that would suggest that, if you do this, this, and this, it will increase gross income or whatever by a certain percentage?
Yeah.
I mean, because we work for a living, and it takes time to have people entering stuff on Facebook or tweeting
Sure.
or even managing the website. So it's difficult. I just wondered if there have been any studies to suggest what cost benefit would be.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are. To be honest, I don't know if there's any specific study, but what I do know is that most people are online. Like what do they say? Like maybe 5 hours a day. I mean, sometimes they're supposed to be at work doing stuff, but they're actually online doing it. So I mean, people are always. I mean, and that's advertising. So I mean, if you can put even a picture of a dog, and did you know something interesting about a particular type of dog? If it's appealing, or you see it, we had a girl, a producer in our newsroom, who had, sometimes her lights would turn off. Well, she videotaped her cat turning off the light. So it would go around the corner and like do this, That one got shared a gazillion. My point is, if it's something cute, interesting, will direct people into you, and then they'll go, if their dog or cat is sick, then they'll say, well, remember we saw somebody, what was that vet's name? And then they're going to reach out to you. I know in a smaller community, it's probably a lot word of mouth, but if you wanted to reach out, it is through the internet and the social media. People use that nonstop.
So nobody sends you press releases?
Well, it's funny, we do get press releases, but I have yet in a year, I've never heard the fax machine. Not once. I know we have one there, but I haven't heard it. I mean, or at least maybe it makes a different sound than what I remember. It's a fax machine sound. But no, press releases are sent through email, but they are also put on our Facebook page, on our individual Facebook pages. People will say, hey, we're having this come up. But then, you've met me. Now you could send me an email. I mean, frankly, I want to do stories. So, I mean, like, we now have a connection. So you could send me an email and, hey, we're having a grand opening coming up. Are you interested? These are the who, what, when, where, and why kind of stuff. So it is the personal connection, and I think even more so in communities like ours, where we're normal people. All you have to do is call, and sometimes that's all you need. That additional connection about what's happening to get somebody to cover whatever it is. So I remember many. I mean, we get so many emails with press releases. It's got to be something really great, or we're kind of going right past it. I mean, it has to have a great headline, or look a little different, or whatever. Hundreds of jobs, would be a great. We'd be like, ooh, But if it's just, grand opening, we might click on it just to see what it is. But it has to be pretty spectacular. But if you follow that up with a phone call, hey, I just remember me. I met you. I sent you a press release. That's 2 chances that we may actually come.
Do you monitor you're monitoring it through the station 24/7? That's probably fairly important, because what happens if a negative trend gets started and you don't have somebody to nip it in the bud? I mean, sorry I was late, you might have already addressed that, but is there any filter that can stop that? I'm sure language and things like that get pushed off.
Yeah.
But, somebody could delicately word a very negative statement, and I just wonder how you would offset that.
Well, we have one guy, and that is his entire job, is to monitor the Facebook and Twitter accounts, posting, but also looking and watching. That's his whole job. But then all of us are supposed to be doing it multiple times a day anyways. It's part of our job duty and our job description. So, because, I mean, you're right, I mean, you know, we're out there and people feel very free to say whatever they want. And sometimes it's amazing to me. You wouldn't say it to somebody in person to their face, but you'll say whatever you want on
Once
Facebook.
removed, so,
It's
yeah.
already. So, yeah, I mean, we have to monitor that, but I think, you know, with companies, you know, with Alpha when I was there, we were always monitoring to see what negative stuff was being said. And if it was negative in a specific town that we didn't know something was happening, you know, we immediately tried to find it out and put out a message saying this is what's really happening. Because again, if you as a company don't say something, people are going to make it up. You know, and rumors you know, it just fuels the insanity.
I'm just thinking because there's all different sizes of businesses.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for an individual business, it's 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, you know, you could get lambasted on, you know, at night or on the weekend, and if you're not, somebody's not monitoring that all the time to.
Well, you can have it
reflect
directed to your phone on your smartphone, and then you'll be basically like a
That's
crazy.
Yeah, I just.
I mean, but you know, sometimes you do miss things, but
Right.
you know, even if you saw 2 over the weekend, you're like, well, maybe I should look into this. You know what I'm saying? If you're alerted at 2, you might want to check. You know, just an idea.
This has been very interesting and beneficial. One more question. Samantha's got another appointment that she has to be to, and really appreciate her coming today. It's been really, really good.
Okay. So if I've got a story to pitch to you, I know you don't want me to spend 15 minutes setting that up, so what information do you want? If I contact you with a potential story, what do you want right off the bat?
Basically, who it is, what it is, that who, what, when, where, and why. And then if you could add what it would really mean. You know, this could be really, you know, just a little personal note, you know. This is, you know, look, literally in a newsroom the other day, we were in our morning meeting, sorry, one quick story, in our morning meeting, and I happened to be, well, I was supposed to probably be listening, I was looking at my Twitter account, and I saw something. I follow Kingsport City Schools, and I got this really great story from one tweet that this lady put out. The principal was going on a mission trip, and the school was raising money. I thought, such a good sound. That'll be a fun story to tell. So I was like, I have a story idea, and I said it, and I went into the story, and it ended up really good. But it was one line. I knew nothing except for I saw the picture, and then it was a picture, and I saw the little, you know, money for kids. You know, that would be great. So,
Rick, just before Samantha leaves, our Women in Business Conference is April the 1st, and Samantha will be the host again this year and our morning keynote speaker. How many of you came last year to the conference? So we really, I'm sorry? You're invited.
If you'd like to sponsor that, man.
Yes.
I think I have some people from the plant coming to that.
Excellent.
So that's on April 1st. We'll get more information out about it. And also, we're talking to Samantha about coming and doing a couple of workshops. So if you have a particular interest, please let me know so that we can work with Samantha.
yeah, we can tailor certain classes or whatever. So, but thank you so much. Thanks for your questions. And now that we've all made this connection, you can send me ideas. Always looking for story ideas.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.